So with all this talk of the iPhone SE2 or the iPhone 9 or whatever the heck Apple's going to call it, that's not my problem. Let them figure that part out. I realized that it's actually possible that this could help Samsung out in a little way. And in doing that, help out a lot of the average consumers out there that don't want to pay $1,000 for a phone. Now, some of you might be thinking, why does an iPhone SE2 have anything to do with Samsung? Lucky for you, I have the answer. I'm pretty sure you can guess what's going to happen next. I'll tell you all about it right after this.
This is, you listening to Travis.
What up, players? Welcome back. And for all you new people, welcome. My name's Travis and I do tech videos every single week and have a blast doing them. If that sounds like fun to you, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Anything I talk about will be in the description below. But for now, let's just get into the video. So yes, 2020 is supposed to be the year that Apple comes out with the iPhone SE2 or iPhone 9, depending on what they want to call it. I don't know what it's going to be. And a lot of Apple fans are excited because of the form factor it's supposed to have. It's a much smaller phone with like a 4.7-inch screen, which some people might be thinking that just seems too small. I agree with you, by the way. But there are people out there who want that form factor, including having a button. But kind of more exciting than that is some of the things they're going to do with this phone, at least purportedly, that could actually help Samsung, or at least fans of Samsung. Those who don't want to spend like all the money that most people are spending, or at least people watching this channel, on things like the S20 and S20 Ultra and all that craziness. All you have to do is go back to the release of the iPhone XR. See, when the iPhone XR was released, while the initial impressions before it was actually released were this is a very cheap version of a smartphone and no one's going to want to buy it, it actually became the best-selling phone. Like the best-selling phone. I mean, I was shocked. But it's because they pack so much value into a phone for $750. Now, what happens if they pack just as much value into a $400 phone? What could happen next? Now, let's be clear. There's gonna be some people that come down in the comments, talk about how this is a peasant phone and it's not for top end, and it's not. It doesn't need to be. You see, what's happening here is something really interesting. Apple is going down in prices while everyone else is kind of going up. Now, Apple is, of course, still going up, but they're actually focusing on what people are kind of showing them they want, a less expensive phone. And while Samsung does have some lower and mid-range phone, I actually just did a review on the Samsung Galaxy A51. If you want to see that, I'll leave a link somewhere so you can see that. It's their mid-range phone, and it, I mean, it's all right, I guess. But the iPhone SE2 actually is a really interesting concept. They're going to take their top-of-the-line processor and very likely at least the wide-angle camera that they have on their existing iPhone 11 line and put it into a $400 phone. And that's just something you don't see Samsung doing at all, yet. You see, when the iPhone XR was released and sold well and reviewed well, Samsung got a good idea of releasing the iPhone S10e. It's the first time that they really released something like that, where they had multiple phones of the same flagship at a reasonable price. It was around the same price, about $750, and it sold fairly well. And a lot of people actually like that phone over the regular S10 and the S10 Plus. Not just because of the size, but like the side fingerprint sensor, and just that it was so much of what the kind of larger scale versions, the S10 and the S10 Plus were, but for a lot less money. Some people even called it like the best of the three phones. Now, I don't know if I'd go that far. However, it does show that Samsung is willing to look at what Apple does and perhaps do the same thing. Ergo, if Apple sells a bunch of these iPhone SE2s or iPhone 9s, whatever you want to call them, you can bet your darn dollar that Samsung will follow suit. It just makes sense. And what this could mean is something completely different than what we've seen before. Right now, Samsung and a lot of other Android manufacturers are selling mid-range phones with older processors. As a matter of fact, the newly released, or the new Note 10 Lite or whatever, is using a really old processor. It's not using like the 855. The equivalent of this would be if they released a new phone this year at a, pretty much smaller price with the 855 from Snapdragon at like $400, which we are not seeing right now. But if we did, and it had a really good wide angle camera, that's kind of exciting. So if you really think about it, the entire industry could change based on what Apple does here. We really should be, as Android fans, rooting for Apple to sell a bunch of these. It's the only way phones like this will get out. Now, it's not going to be the top of the end phone. I know some of you won't want to get it, but that's not the point. The point is they will sell a ton of these at $400 with the best processor, the best camera, all the cool accoutrements that all of these phones can do nowadays. If you have the top of the line 865, for example, Snapdragon processor in a $400 phone from Samsung, you're gonna probably sell a good number of those. And yes, the SE2 is gonna be smaller and blah, 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 but look at the bigger picture. I'm not talking about just this. I'm talking about a movement. And if you can't understand what the movement is and that it could bring back to life the falling sales of smartphones, then you don't get it. And this is a big deal across the entire industry. This could change everything. Kind of like John Prosser always says, we need compromise. And this would be a pretty darn good compromise because it's not just a mid-range phone, it's a spec'd out, pretty darn well spec'd out mid-range phone. And for you Pixel peepers, sure, it's not gonna have a 4K screen or a 1440 screen or shoot 4K video. I mean, who knows, actually, maybe it might. It doesn't need all that. That's not the point. The point is people will be able to get into the Samsung ecosystem for a really inexpensive price point. Everyone in your house could have one in the same processor line, meaning updates should last quite a long time. So what does that mean? Basically, if you're a Samsung fan, even if you don't want to, you should really be rooting for the SE2 to succeed. Once again, I'll say it again, I've been saying it this entire video. All this could be is moving the industry forward towards less expensive phones. Let's be clear, these $1,000, $1,200, $1,300 phones are not that much better than some of the $700 phones you can get right now. I mean, nothing really stamped that into my brain more than last year when I really enjoyed the OnePlus 7 Pro way more than I enjoyed the Galaxy Note 10 Plus. And not because the Galaxy Note 10 Plus wasn't a good phone, but the reality is it was not like $300 better than the OnePlus 7 Pro, in my opinion. But what do you think? If Apple sells the iPhone SE2 and sells a bunch of them, will Samsung follow suit? Or will they try something even better by just knocking down the prices of their flagships? They're not gonna do that. They're not gonna do that. If this video helped you out in any way, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. And if it didn't, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. I'm here every single week, having a blast. Hope to see you again real soon. Peace and love, peace and love. Go SE.